If you're thinking about moving to Kansas City, there's a lot of information out there telling you it's affordable, or it's underrated, or it's one of the best cities in the Midwest. And honestly, a lot of that is true. But there's some things that most people don't figure out until after they've already moved here. And a few of them are the kind of thing that can really shape whether you're happy with your decision or you're spending the first year wishing you'd maybe done things differently. So today, before you pack a single box, we want to walk you through everything you actually need to know about moving to Kansas City. The good stuff, the stuff that nobody talks about, and the things that are going to matter way more than you might expect. My name is Michael Mars, and this is my twin brother Mason. We're local real estate agents right here in Kansas City, and we've spent the last 9 years helping people make moves right here in Kansas City. We've seen what happens when people get great information early versus when they figure out things the hard way after they've already moved. If you want to talk through your specific situation before you make any decisions, you can book a quick call with us using the link down in the description, or just shoot us an email. We do these calls all the time. There's no pressure. We just want to help you land in the right place. All right, let's jump right in. The first thing you need to understand about Kansas City, and this is genuinely a surprise to a lot of people, is that you're not just choosing a city, you're actually choosing a state. Kansas City sits right on the border between Missouri and Kansas, and those two sides of the metro are genuinely different in ways that are going to affect your day-to-day life, your taxes, and a big chunk of your budget. On the Kansas side, you've got suburbs like Overland Park, Leawood, and Olathe. These are polished, newer areas with some of the highest rated schools in the entire metro. The trade-off though is that you're really gonna pay for it. Home prices on the Kansas side are noticeably higher, and they tend to stay that way because of the demand from people who wanna be in these school districts. The Missouri side is typically where you'll find more affordable options. The Northland, which is the part of Kansas City that sits north of the Missouri River, is really popular with families and has some suburban communities with schools that are just as strong as anything you'd find in Kansas. And then on the Missouri side, you've got areas like Lee Summit, Liberty, and Blue Springs over to the east, which all have their own personalities and price points. Now, here's why this really matters. We talk to people who have already decided that they want to be in a specific suburb before they've ever really had a conversation about what that decision means for their budget. And sometimes the area they've landed on is a great fit, but they've been comparing apples to oranges and don't realize it yet. So before you get too attached to one particular suburb, take the time to understand both sides of the state line and what each one is actually going to cost you. Now, this brings us to a really important question, and that's the question of affordability. This is probably the thing that Kansas City is maybe most famous for, and it definitely deserves that reputation, but there's some important contextual details that tend to get left out. Yes, Kansas City is significantly more affordable than most major metros around the country. We've helped a ton of people move from other major US cities, and the reaction is almost always the same. They walk into homes here and they cannot believe what their money gets them. A budget that might get you a small condo in those markets can really get you a nice single family home with a yard here. And that's genuinely real, and it's one of the best things about Kansas City. But here's what people miss. Kansas City is not equally affordable everywhere within the metro. And beyond the purchase price, there are other costs people don't always think about up front. Property taxes are one of those things. They can vary quite a bit depending on which side of the state line you're on and which specific suburb you're in. HOA fees are another one, especially in those newer communities. And if you're looking at newer construction, you're gonna be in a very different price conversation than if you're looking at resale homes. The median price for new construction in Kansas City is a lot higher than the overall median, and some of the builder communities on the Kansas side can push well past that. We always tell our clients, don't just focus on the purchase price, think about the total monthly cost of owning that home, because that's what you're actually gonna have to live with. We've had people come in with a number in mind based on what they read online, and then they get surprised when we walk through the full picture. The earlier you can have some of these conversations, the better. Okay, let's talk about something that is a huge factor in where you choose to live, and that's the weather. Kansas City weather is interesting. We were born and raised here, we love living here, and we'll still tell you that the weather in this city is not for everyone. The summers can get pretty hot and humid. It's not a dry heat like you would find in other parts of the country. It's the kind of humidity where you step outside and it hits you immediately. We get stretches in July and August where it's in the upper 90s, and it genuinely feels hotter than that because of all that humidity. Winters are cold and kind of unpredictable. Some years we barely get any snow and it's a pretty mild winter. Other years we get an ice storm in February that can shut everything down for 3 days. And in between those, you could have a week in January where it barely dips below freezing, followed pretty quickly by a week where the wind chill is well below zero. Dressing in layers definitely becomes a lifestyle. And then there's tornado season. This is the Midwest, and if you're moving here from somewhere that doesn't deal with tornadoes, this is going to be a bit of adjustment. Tornado season runs from roughly late spring into early summer, and it's taken pretty seriously here. One of the things you'll notice when you're looking at homes in Kansas City is that a lot of them have basements. This is not a coincidence. When you're buying here, whether or not a home has a basement is a real practical question that a lot of buyers have. And it's worth thinking about before you fall in love with a house that doesn't have one. That said, once you've lived through a full year of seasons here, most people really come around on it. Fall in Kansas City is really beautiful. The way the leaves on the trees change, the cooler temperatures, it's all around a really great season here. And there's something about a real winter that makes spring feel like a genuine celebration. Now let's talk about how the city's laid out. Kansas City has a footprint that surprises a lot of people who are coming from more compact cities or from places with stronger public transportation. This is definitely a driving city. There is a streetcar that runs through a stretch of downtown, and it's actually really fun to use if you're living or working right along that stretch. But if you're living in the suburbs, which is where the majority of our clients end up, you're going to be in your car. That's just the reality of life here. The flip side of that is that the highway system here is actually pretty good once you understand it. Most of the major suburbs have decent highway access, and commutes within the metro are generally reasonable by the standards of any major city. Where it gets tricky is when people try to choose a suburb that puts them on the wrong side of a bottleneck for their commute. There are certain stretches of road in this city that are fine most of the time and then miserable during rush hour. The Grandview Triangle on the south side is one of those areas. This is where three major highways intersect, and if you live south of the river and work north of it, you're going to get very familiar with that stretch of road. Highway 152 through Liberty is another one we talk about a lot. It's the main artery for a chunk of the Northland, and it can back up badly around the holidays and during peak times. None of this is a deal breaker, but we always tell people to think seriously about where their job is before committing to a place to live. A 35-minute commute in the right direction is one thing. That same distance in the wrong direction on the wrong road can become a real drain. Now, we've spent a lot of this video talking about things you need to be aware of, and we want to make sure we're being fair here because there really is genuinely so much to love about Kansas City, and we want to highlight that too. The food scene here is better than most people expect. The barbecue reputation is real, and it absolutely lives up to the hype. But that's just the starting point. The Crossroads Art District just south of downtown has become a real food and nightlife destination over the last several years. The River Market has incredible variety, and neighborhoods like Westport and the Plaza give you options for a great night out. Kansas City punches above its weight on food, and if that's something that really matters to you, you're going to be really happy here. Sports culture in Kansas City is really something you have to experience to understand. The Chiefs are obviously a massive deal right now, and the energy in this city on a Chiefs game day is unlike anything you'll experience anywhere else. It really feels like the whole community rallies around their team, and we love it. And with the Royals planning to move downtown to their new stadium, that energy is only going to grow over the next few years. And then there's just the feel of the city itself. Kansas City really does live up to a good kind of Midwestern warmth reputation. We really have a lot of pride in our city, and I think that shows every day with the people you come in contact with here. People actually tend to get to know their neighbors, and neighborhoods can have a real sense of community. It's the kind of place where you put down roots and stay, and when you're trying to figure out where you want to raise your family or build your life, that matters a lot more than people give it credit for. So what's the bottom line? Kansas City is genuinely a great place to live. We believe that completely, and we wouldn't have built our careers here and raised our families here if we didn't. But like any city, of course, it rewards people who take time to understand it before they move here and begin to make decisions based on their actual situation. If you're in the middle of planning a move to Kansas City and you want someone to walk through the details with you, that's exactly what we do. You can shoot us an email. Our contact information is right down there in the description. Or again, click that link, book a quick call. We would love to help you figure out whether Kansas City is a great fit for you and which part of the metro actually makes sense. If you're watching this and you're in the middle of researching a move here, what's the one thing you're most uncertain about? Drop it in the comments below. We read every single one, and we're happy to answer to help make sure you make the right decision. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our weekly videos on neighborhoods, market updates, and everything you need to know about life in Kansas City.